So just out of curiosity's sake, before I pull this engine, I'm going to just get compression ratings. See what it's like. Hope you guys can see that. I just feel like the camera's going to fall off if I leave it where it is. That's better. So that's 145 on number 1. Not bad. It's actually better than I thought it would be, considering how weak this engine is. Again, about 140. That's more 135. That one. That one's 150. Ooh, that one's low. It's about 120. So, it's not great, but it's not terrible. I just wanted to know for curiosity. Okay, so I think I've got everything disconnected. I guess we're about to find out. So as we all know, an engine hoist is a tool to measure the tensile strength of everything you forgot to disconnect. But anyway, here we go. Okay, let's try that again. I down bolt the perch that the motor mount sits on from the frame because I couldn't get it to lift straight off the motor mount studs. That looks better already. not on. It's the downpipe. It's hitting the frame. It's actually been cracked at the catalytic converter, so that's just slid out of the cap, but it's hitting the floor and the motor mount perch. And these nuts aren't turning, so I think I'm going to take a look for some cutoff wheels and just buzz it off wherever I can get it. Okay, the 8 valve's out. I've started stripping stuff. I think I'm pretty sure I've got everything off it that I need. Clutch, flywheel, backing, or sandwich plate. Hoses, a couple hoses from this side, and the power steering bracket. I just started stripping stuff out of the engine bay, things I won't need, like the airbox and the wire harnesses in there, a couple of brackets. Oh, I pulled the water pump off it too because it looked fairly new, so I figured why not. A couple things, I've got the hood laying on it, but you can't really see. Kind of, it's empty in there. What I want to do is run the new wire harness, and I have to change the fuel feed line. And I'd rather do that before the engine goes in, just so I have more space. So yeah, that's going to be all for this evening, and assuming all goes well, we'll pick this up tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day. I've got my wiring in, sort of. Got my fuel hose changed. The 8 valve is now on the cart, and the 16 valve is on the hoist, so we're going to get that in, hopefully. So two things. One, I had to go run and grab another SD card. Two, I was having trouble stabbing it on the transmission because the engine's clocked like this and the transmission is clocked like this. Just the way it's mounted, it's off to one side. So what I did is I have a floor jack on one side of the transmission, and on the other side there's a hook for lifting, and I've ratchet strapped that to the front drive shaft to kind of pull the transmission like this. So now we should be able to stab it onto the trans. This is my least favorite part of any engine swap ever, is stabbing the engine onto the transmission. But on this vehicle it's a lot easier than pulling the engine and transmission together. Oops. So I think when I left last I was struggling to get this thing in here. Well, it's in now. And I've been working on the wiring, but I haven't been getting spark. And I've been chasing all my things, and I'm pretty sure it's the sensor inside the distributor, because when I'm cranking it I don't get spark. But if I have my test wire here on the white wire, which is what gets pulled to ground when the rotor passes through the magnet, should get spark. Now I have my coil wire here, and as I ground it, I get spark, and I can hear the fuel injectors firing too. So it's got to be a bad sensor. But I've been going through my wiring, make sure I have my wiring all good, because, well, I'll show you. It's not pretty, but it's working. The idea is to get it running and then clean it up. But that's the mess I've been working with, so it took me a while to confirm all my wiring was right and get down to the conclusion that that sensor is bad. So I'm looking for either a sensor or a distributor for not $300, hopefully. Alright, so just ran out, picked up a used distributor, and picked up the right water pump pulley, because as I found out, the 8-valve pulley sits too far back, so you need the pulley with the 16-valve. I didn't have it, so. But we're going to get that stuff in, and hopefully we'll hear it fire. Okay, so you can see this. That's a jumper wire from the ground side of the distributor over to an engine ground, because I still wasn't getting spark, so I put my own ground. Even though I was getting ground on the ground wire, I didn't have spark until I ran my separate ground, so we'll fix that later. But I want to see if this thing starts. Is the key in it? Close. Sounds like we're a little too advanced, or retarded I should say. So dizzy spins counterclockwise, so let's move her like that. I need you to crank it for me.
Is the fuel pump working?
Yes.
I don't have a ton of fuel left.
You have plenty for this. Okay. Yep. Camera died. Let's try that again.
Tell me when to shut it off. Okay?
Yep. it again. Stop. Try it again. Stop. I've lost ignition. That's 8 degrees before top dead. That was weird. Did I blow the fuse again? Something's arcing down here. Oh. There you go, on my wire harness. Here's some bare pins. I think they go to an EGR control solenoid. When I revved it, I saw it bounce off the motor mount, spark, and then it died. So that's what's blowing my fuse. Or at least that's where I'm going to start. Okay, that was me shutting it off. I don't want to run it too long because I still don't have any coolant in it, but it doesn't sound like it's only running on 2 cylinders anymore, and my timing's pretty close. So what have we got? We've got to fix this bad ground issue. I've got codes for mass airflow circuit, idle intake air temp circuit, and throttle idle control switch, which I think is this thing here that I have unplugged. I've got some wiring to do, finish up still and check, but it runs. The engine sounds pretty good. Obviously it's got a massive leak, because, or exhaust leak, because I don't know if you can see, but the downpipe isn't connected to anything because it's about 6 inches short of meeting my cat. But it's in there, I heard it run, I'm happy with this motor. It seems like a good buy. And that distributor was probably fine, because I'm an idiot and didn't. I took what seemed like a good ground for granted, and it wasn't a good ground at all, so that's what you get. I think the ground here is a ground shared with my mass airflow and my intake air temp sensor. So once I find that bad ground, I'll probably get rid of most of the codes, and then when I plug that in and fix that ground, we should be styling. And that's gonna wrap up this video. I don't know how I'm gonna edit it. It might turn out to be pretty long already. I don't know. Yeah, you guys will know. Should be tomorrow night. So thanks for watching, and I hope you